Hey everybody, welcome back to the Distance Project's Back to Basics series. In video number 1, we talked about diaphragm mechanics and breathing function as that first assessment that we make with any new athlete, any new client. The second thing that we're going to test is CO2 tolerance, and this is going to determine their ability to uptake oxygen effectively in any conditioning workout that we do. And if there's a dysfunction or a problem or a major kind of adaptation that we can make there, we're going to make it there first before we start to have them bike, row, run, sprint, or do anything else. So in video number 1, we had people lay down, and you can go back to that video, and we asked, if the diaphragm, if the primary muscle of respiration is not moving first or not moving much, laying on the floor relaxed, having them do burpees, kettlebell swings, box jumps, running, rowing, all of that's going to be done from a compromised foundation. We need to fix that mechanical issue first, then we can get optimal breathing function and core stability, and we can test that in this whole thing we call exercise and training, right? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to test their ability to buffer carbon dioxide. Their ability to deal with rising carbon dioxide levels is going to determine how effectively they can use oxygen. I can't tell you how many times we run into runners or endurance athletes who are working their butts off. I mean, they're running 40 miles a week, 50 miles, 60 miles, 70 miles, 100 miles a week. They're training every day, and they're working as hard as they can, but their CO2 tolerance is mondo low, and their ability to uptake oxygen is super compromised, and they're not seeing the results that they want in their endurance sports. And if the answer to that problem, if the only tool that they have is more mileage and more training, we're not fixing the underlying problem, which is the ability to use oxygen. So here's how we do it. Tell the athlete to sit in a position that they can breathe the best in, and all of a sudden they find neutral. Maybe they were a little slumped forward, but they find a good position. Explain the test a few times, because it takes a few times often for people to really feel out what you're getting after. You're going to want them to take a regular breath in, no larger than the normal inhale volume, easy breath out, and pinch the nose. And they're going to wait for the first urge to breathe. This is an example of a great test by Patrick McCowan, who wrote the brilliant book, The Oxygen Advantage, powerful book for anybody, any human, especially for athletes, especially for endurance athletes. What we're testing here is their ability to buffer carbon dioxide. So if they do this test, and if you're really clear with them that this is not a breath hold test, they're not going to use willpower to say how long can I hold my breath, and that they're really waiting for that first urge to breathe. So if they take their hand off their nose, I have to go, they waited too long. It's that first urge for, I should take my hand off my nose and breathe. You're going to get a baseline number, and you're going to be able to build your first cycles of conditioning work and programming around that. And you're also going to be able to see how much breath work is necessary. If you have a huge negative there, if you get somebody under 10 seconds on a CO2 tolerance test, that's the first thing as coaches we need to be working on, because they're going to put their best effort and their mental effort and all of their sweat and their time into these training programs, but they can't get oxygen effectively to muscles and tissues. Their ability to generate ATP, to produce force, is going to be limited, and they're going to work against that their entire athletic, the long run of their athletic performance is going to be compromised because the foundation wasn't there. Now, if you get somebody under 10 seconds, you've got a big problem, and that's a big problem to solve. You're going to get a big adaptation if you help them solve that problem. And through the video series, we'll take you through how to do that. 10 to 20 seconds, it still should be a major, major focus of your early programming, is trying to get them to a 20 plus, 25 second, 30 second CO2 tolerance. 20 to 30 is kind of in the mid-range that we found for most people. 30 plus, it's on the higher end of the spectrum. 40 plus, 45 plus, you've got somebody who can put out power and force and work, and their aerobic and their anaerobic function is going to be obvious to you from this simple test. We used to have a lot of clumsy kind of rudimentary ways to do this when I first started coaching. We'd have people jump on an air bike or a rower or runs, and we do these conditioning tests that basically said, well, this is how much they appear to be suffering. I have a baseline on their aerobic or anaerobic capacity. There's much more sophisticated ways to do this that give you that insight first, so you can start to program from the very first session conditioning workouts that really do get them adaptation and don't just show you how much they can suffer, but give you the tools as a coach that you can give the athlete to get some real adaptation, performance gains, and fix some other major underlying problems, because it's not only about in the gym. If you can improve their sleep, their relationship to anxiety, their relationship to breathing in general, you're making adaptations that help them not only in sport but in life. So in video number 3, we're going to talk about mechanical assessments that we make, but in Back to Basics, we're starting at the very foundation, and we're building pyramids, y'all. So thanks for being here, and looking forward to the next vid.